things and stuff.
Don't forget about things.
Things. I don't know what came over me there. I sound like some weird older British guy. Things and stuff and stuff and things and stuff.
Oh my goodness.
So,
Don't forget about things.
yeah. So in terms of it, this is one of those times where I did press the go live button and didn't tell you.
Okay, well that's fine. That's fine.
No!
And there's the phone. So mission accomplished on that one.
Damn
By the
it!
way, by the way, before we get started, I saw on Twitter that there is a locker room rift with Minnesota Timberwolves, and for anyone who knows me, I'm a pretty big Minnesota Timberwolves fan. And one of their star players is Andrew Wiggins. Andrew Wiggins was arguing with teammates about the legacy of 50 Cent and Get Rich or Die Trying. And they don't think they respect that.
I have no idea what that...
I retweeted that, and then I said, last retweet at Sean Hines, because I thought he would get a major kick out of that. Because I know Sean Hines is a major advocate for Blood on the Sand, which is a 50 Cent game. And I'm not talking about, like, 50 cents in, like, American currency. I'm talking about, like, the rapper.
Yeah, like, everybody I know says that game is great, and I'm just like, really? But that's the word. I don't know. I haven't tried it, but that's the fucking word when it comes to that. It's like, it's a good game. Just don't pay attention to the part that is 50 Cent. Just take yourself out of that, and you'll be fine.
No. It's like, even pay attention to 50 Cent, because 50 Cent's one good album is Get Rich or Die Trying, which totally plays like a greatest hits album, because everything after that is just Candy Shop and G Unit. It hasn't really panned out very well, as his bank account will tell you.
Damn.
Because he bought Mike Tyson's home and now he's bankrupt.
Oh,
and now he's
wow.
probably going to put that up for auction too. That house that Mike Tyson used to own is haunted, I can guarantee.
Doesn't he produce the show Power on Stars?
I think so. He does some producing stuff, but he's pretty much kind of like...
Yeah, he's got to get some money out of that.
He doesn't have as much money as he once had.
Yeah, I could imagine, because in terms of that, when you go and like buy Mike Tyson's house and other things like that, it's just, why the hell do you need Mike Tyson's house?
SK Energy.
Why do you need Mike Tyson's house? Why does anybody need Mike Tyson's house?
Demolished, I believe.
Oh, I guess it was like a preservation purchase.
Something like that.
Buyer's remorse there, 50 Cent?
It was worth 50 cents. Anyway, speaking of 50 cents, this is our 2 cents worth 50 cents for Super Reset Brothers on January the 20. Nope, not the 20. It is now in the 30s, and it's going to be the end of the month, January 31st, 2017. I'm Tanner Larson, and with me is Patrick Breeden, as usual, the usual suspect.
I am the usual suspect.
Blah, 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 blah. I can't fucking talk today.
Depending on the crime, I'm the only suspect.
Depending on the crime, yes. So, one crime you're not guilty of is being Bastion in Overwatch. Because that feels like a misdemeanor at best.
Do.
For those who don't know, the new buff will probably be Bastion. So if you have a hard time with Bastion, chances are you're going to have a tougher time. But a majority of players, I would say, with Overwatch don't have as much of a problem with Bastion as they once did with the beginning of the game, because Bastion seemed like this unstoppable thing.
Yeah.
But then people started to realize that you can just go ahead and play Genji and reflect the bullets, or you can go ahead and play Tracer and then use the ultimate on that. And there's so many different ways to get around Bastion. The Bastion feels like he is kind of at a disadvantage almost, because you're mostly going to be stationary as a Bastion. So I feel like you do need a buff to get that. There's a pros and cons here. So if you get like a buff yes, you're going to see more performance out of Bastion, but at the same time, you're going to see a lot more Bastion.
Yeah, I'd say when the game first started, like people didn't know how to handle him was the big issue. And of course, when they were in the beta stage, he had a fucking shield, which was insane.
Oh my god, could you imagine? What if they put the shield back in though?
No, they really okay. I'm okay with buffing him. That's not a problem. But the shield should never return. That should never happen. Oh my god. But in terms of it, you do have a point because there was a lot of hate when people first started and they didn't know how to take him. And, people were just calling for, like, the end of him. Just fucking kill the guy. And that's kind of what Blizzard did. They really wrecked his stats and, tweaked him and whatnot to the point where it's like, okay, is he fair now? And I would say as people grew and learned more about the game, they realized that Bastion's kind of a pushover.
Yeah, he is. He really is, because there's not much to him. Just stationary, and anyone who can, like, kind of move and shoot can do very well against Bastion.
He's very situational. Like, there's a few situations where you would really like to have him. Like
third point, watch point Gibraltar. Second point,
yeah,
Hanamura.
If you're pushing the payload,
immediately come to mind.
Yeah, if you're pushing the payload, you'd like to have him as like your turret at the front of it, different things of that nature while you're protecting him, making sure he's healed. But other than that, you can't just randomly throw Bastion out and be like, yeah, go into turret mode and tear them up. It doesn't work that way. He would die every time.
It was kind of a Symmetra scenario where Bastion is totally situational. Like, you're not going to see a lot of people play Bastion on first point. Only on the very last point where you need to hold that ground.
Right. And I would also argue that most of the time when a game begins, nobody is playing Bastion.
Right.
That's why I see for the most part now. Most of the time. Yeah, I mean, sometimes you're going to have that, but I would say most of the time, especially if people are taking it seriously, you're not going to see any Bastions at the beginning. It's as things draw to a close, you're going to start to see Bastion or multiple Bastions show up because, one, they have a strategy, or two, they're panicking.
Yeah. I would absolutely agree with that. But it does kind of lead me to one thing, that this game has had a lot of buffs and nerfs and fixes and all this other stuff, patches as well, where it, like, on paper, it would seem like an incomplete game. But on the flip side of that, it's being more competitive and changing it, like, things up. So I think one thing that happened is with D.Va, where she was an unstoppable force for the longest time because she had 400 armor and 200 health, and not the vice versa that we know now.
Yeah, and in terms of that, I am cool with the idea of them constantly, making changes and stuff like that, because it creates a new meta. Every time you step into it, you can't say A will always happen, B will always happen, C will always happen, because they tweak it just a bit, and it changes the meta entirely. Like, at one point, D.Va is like your go-to tank. You always want to use her. And then they change a few things. You're like, well, D.Va's not as good anymore. Maybe I should start trying, say, Reinhardt or something like that. And it really starts to change the meta and force people to change the way they play. Which, to me, it makes the game super interesting.
And it seems like with most Blizzard games, if not every Blizzard game, there seems to be some sort of new meta that rolls around 6 months to a year, because we see it all the time in Hearthstone with mutations and new expansion packs that come out. We see it all the time in Heroes of the Storm. We see it in Overwatch as we're seeing it now. But I don't know if StarCraft has that kind of thing.
It does. From time to time, they introduce like new patches and whatnot. It's kind of expansion driven for the most part. But every once in a while, if they see like there is like an overwhelming strategy that's just causing like massive issues, then they'll usually like address it. But for the most part, I would say with their RTS games, Blizzard is just so fine-tuned that they don't really need to do that, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I would say like they're best at fine-tuning RTS games.
But right now, the only rework that Overwatch has really seen is from Symmetra, because she was a situational character even though I'd like to sometimes not admit that. What she previously was she would give her uh, allies, I think, 20 to 25 health points in like a shield form,
Mm-hmm.
and then you would have 3 turrets laid out immediately, and then you'd have to wait on a cooldown to like provide more turrets, which kind of did seem like a rush kind of process. Because now I feel a lot more comfortable as a Symmetra player getting those 6 turrets out right away instead of having to rush and like it's like, oh god, did I get everyone with a shield or whatever?
Oh, that's
And
awesome. See, I haven't played in a while because I had to go away for a little bit, but I didn't know they changed that. That's cool.
yeah, they did totally change Symmetra, and she has 2 ultimates now instead of just
Ooh.
one, where it's not just a teleporter, where it's totally non-existent to have for like a second point like on Volskaya Industries.
Sweet, I'm
So
learning
now-
shit.
Yeah, you're learning stuff now. It's now you get to pick between a shield generator or a teleport. So
Mm.
what I like to do is on Volskaya Industries is on the second point. I like to hide that shield generator in like the closest most room to the spawn point. So like you get out of there right away, and then you see like this small little room with a health pack. I like to put that there because that knows, or the team should know then, like if the shield generators have to at least come past the point to destroy the shield generator. So that absolutely helps, and it's 75 shield points for the team that's receiving that shield benefit, if I remember correctly.
Oh wow, yeah, that's pretty beneficial when like Torbjorn only does 25, right?
Torbjorn gives out 75 on.
Oh, he does. Okay, okay.
Yes. And the thing with Torbjorn now is that he was a slight tweak. He wasn't an exact rework, where Torbjorn now has like regenerative scraps instead of having to like only rely on teammates killing other people or whatever.
Oh, okay.
Just
So
waiting for enemies to die to pick up scrap. So he just regens scrap basically.
wow, so people are probably listening to this and being like, did this guy fall into a hole somewhere? Yes, I did. I
A little
did.
bit.
And now I'm
Quite a bit.
learning.
Yeah. So it's just interesting strategies like that that really change up Overwatch and mostly any game that has these similar changes.
So that's really sweet. And one thing I noticed when I was able to pop in the game with you guys at chat the other day was like your Reinhardt is crazy. that Reinhardt you play is just like the craziest thing I've ever seen.
That is what we call sensitivity. So for those
Wow.
who are out of the loop on that one, what I like to do on Reinhardt quick play, or like when we're about to like capture a point or something like that, is I like to put up my shield and just spin around the mouse, so it like looks like I'm going crazy or whatever. It's just something to behold.
It
basically.
is something
And-
to behold, and along with that, because you're doing that, you really are blocking from all angles. It was to the point where like
best strategy. It's the best strategy. Block in all directions.
dude, it was to the point. I'm sure you can remember this. It was to the point where like people were saying that he was hacking, or they were
Yeah, I
questioning.
remember- I
Yeah, they were
remember that.
questioning whether he was hacking. They were like, "Is Reinhardt hacking?" And I'm like, "No, Tanner doesn't hack." But of course, they don't know you like I do. That was still
Right.
hilarious.
That was still great. That's the first time that ever happened to me, but that to be accused of hacking or anything like
I
that.
think he just saw
Even
the
though it's-
spasming.
Yeah, they saw the spasming of the shield, so what I did was like, yeah, it's this glitch in the game called sensitivity. That's what it is. That's all it is. So if you're a PC player and you haven't tried this yet, absolutely go ahead and do it in quick
Yeah.
play or whatever. Don't do it in competitive because it's not going to work very well. Trust me, I've done it before.
Yeah, I would imagine people in competitive are going to be like, "That's amusing, kill." But if you're playing just a casual game and somebody comes up and sees that, they're like, "Whoa, what's up?"
What is going on? So, yeah, that's fun. And one more thing to mention with Overwatch before we topic is Roadhog, which Roadhog was the most bullshit character in the game until they fixed him. Because what would happen is when, like, let's say on Temple of Anubis, you play as Lucio, and then you're going back to, the spawn point to get more health back because you're kind of low on health. Roadhog just hooks you through the wall and pulls you in front of him. That would happen a lot.
Well, what?
And I think it's because of mostly, like lag or just not connecting on ping or something like that. Like the Roadhog.
Or just
probably,
bullshit?
Well, that too, yes.
Yeah.
It's mostly bullshit. But now that's fixed. So
Good.
Anytime that Roadhog hooks you and you like get behind something, you only get pulled to that thing that you're in front. But if you're out in the open and Roadhog hooks you, then it pulls you to in front of Roadhog unless he drastically turns, which it would go to where the hook was initially. So let's say on like in Ilios, like Roadhog pulls somebody in front of the well to like put them down in the hole, and then he's just like drastically spinning like I do with a Reinhardt on a shield. And let's say that happens. So it would only bring them down to that hole and not to where Roadhog's current position is, like on the other side of the well.
I'm glad that
If
they're
that makes
fixing
sense.
things. I probably have to see it in person to get like the full understanding of what's going on there, but
Right.
it's just good to hear that they're fixing things like that and trying to keep the game fresh and going, because in terms of it, they have a gold mine when it comes to Overwatch. So many cosplays, so many people playing the game. It's just they have got to feel very, very good with what they've accomplished with that game.
No doubt about that. It was the game of the year for most people, and it's probably going to be a Resetti or candidate coming in February.
Yeah, not to mention, like, in terms of BlizzCon this year, it dominated.
Yeah,
Like, 2 years in a row, it dominated.
Would you think that Overwatch is becoming more popular than?
Then you cut out. What was it?
Is Overwatch becoming more popular than World
Of Warcraft?
Yes.
Probably. Simply because in terms of it, like, it fits... I would say it fits a different crowd in terms of it, and the thing is, the crowd that would attract Overwatch is going to be a bigger crowd than the one that would attract World of Warcraft. Simply because if you talk about subscribers and whatnot, an issue with World of Warcraft that a lot of players don't like to admit is 1 million of those accounts could easily be Chinese gold farmers and bots and things like that. And whereas I don't think with Overwatch that's the case. And the other thing that's going for Overwatch that isn't going for World of Warcraft is the multi-platform thing. You can play it on your PlayStation 4, your Xbox One, your PC. Who knows? Maybe you'll play it on the Switch. It's hard to tell. But that's the point. You know, you can play it in so many different areas to where it's going to attract a bigger crowd. It's more popular, I would argue. Like, when you go to BlizzCon, for example, and of course BlizzCon happened, I was able to watch a good bunch of it this year, it's still very Warcraft-centered. But every time you turned around, Overwatch was right there to steal the show.
Overwatch was smacking you in the face when you were Warcraft.
Every single time. Because, like, they always have, like, the big, Alliance versus Horde super raid that happens there. That's a thing. So, of course, that happened and everything. But, again, Overwatch right there to steal the show, because that's when they started talking about the Sombra, the new character.
Yes. Sombra was just everywhere before she was released. Like, people were, like, trying to figure out, like, all these super inclusive riddles and all that.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
So that was, like, a big hype for that. Like, Sombra was huge. But in terms of it, horrible.
Not how many people play her, really.
Yeah, I haven't seen very many people play her. It's just like, I see that she's there, and usually like somebody will snatch her up before I could choose her, but it's just overall like, who cares?
Yeah. But you did mention Nintendo Switch.
I did. That's what I was about to transition to.
And, well, great segue. But the Nintendo Switch had their quote-unquote specs released,
Yeah.
and all the specs that were mentioned was like, hey, it's got a screen and a controller, it's got a CPU in it. And I was thinking, well, what kind of CPU? It's a good one, Nintendo said. It's like, it's a good one.
Yeah.
Switch specific one? No. Hey, look, it's Zelda.
Yeah, so we're gonna pick on Nintendo here, guys. Sorry. But that's just, it needs to happen simply because, like, okay, with the specs, the big thing I think a lot of us were waiting for, Tanner, I think you could agree, is we wanted to know, like, hardcore specs. We wanted to know what the CPU, what the GPU was. We wanted to know exactly what this thing could do compared to like our Xbox One and PlayStation 4, where the specs are out there. You can go look at the specs anytime you want to. The thing that soured me when I was looking through everything here is when you go to the website and you look at CPU/GPU, NVIDIA customized Tegra processor. Okay.
Yeah.
What about it?
What about it?
It's killing me.
Man, it really irks me because I think the last time Nintendo released any kind of specs were for the GameCube. And that was so long ago. That was in 2001, 2000.
Yeah, they did release the specs because that's when everybody knew, like, when all the current generation consoles came out at that time, they looked at the specs and was like, holy shit, the GameCube has the best GPU capability. And it did. It really did. Go back and look at the specs. It absolutely did. And
the GameCube blows the PlayStation 2 and the Xbox, as far as hardware goes, out of the water.
Well, not entirely. The CPU for the central processing for Xbox ate GameCube alive. But the GPU, the graphics processing, was better with GameCube.
Yeah.
That's how you knew, because they actually released the fucking specs. Now we're playing this game where it's just like, well, it's a custom Tegra. You can go look up a Tegra. Yes, I can. However, you just said yours is customized. So that means I have no idea what it is. Sure, I can go look it up and get an idea, but I don't want an idea. I want to know the exacts.
How many times are we going to do this song and dance with Nintendo where they dance around the subject? We saw it with the Wii U. How well did that work out?
Yeah.
Where they danced around the idea of, like, this is a brand new console. They said, no, it's an add-on, but also a new console, which didn't help anybody at all.
Yeah.
It did not.
It's very annoying. I'm very happy to read that they promised that the maximum resolutions for their games are going to be 1080p and 60 frames. Good. So, I mean, that's good, knowing that the competition is about ready to start dabbling in 4K. I don't believe the 4K is necessary, but I do think 1080p 60 frames absolutely is, so that's great.
That has to be a standard for a console to have that kind of performance, is 1080p and 60 frames per second.
Right.
For a console that's released now.
Right.
Like you're going to go with the Xbox and you're going to go with the PS4, and those are going to have 4K. That's not necessary. But it's great. It's like having a cherry on a sundae. It's great to have.
It's great, but it's not necessary. But I would say, like, the standard, if you're wanting to even, like, if say you want to attract, like, PC gamers, like, you know, we value really good graphics, 1080p at least, 60 frames, that's what we like. That's what we're going to get. And then I look at something like, apparently there's going to be a sequel to Fast Racing Neo, Fast RMX, it's going to be coming. Damn right I want that in 1080p 60 frames, son. So that makes me happy. But the thing that doesn't make me happy is I want to know what the graphics capabilities are. I want to know how strong this son of a bitch is going to be, so I know if, like, say, Overwatch is going to come to Switch, because I would love to play that on the go. But they're giving us the song and dance again. That doesn't make me happy.
I don't think it makes anybody happy, to be honest with you. I mean, who wants to be danced around on a subject?
Not when I'm going to be dropping $300, man.
Exactly.
I mean, just tell me, if it's not as powerful as my current PlayStation 4 or Xbox One, that doesn't mean I'm going to dismiss the thing. No, not at all. I'm still getting it. I still think it's going to be a great piece of hardware. But the problem is I can't convince myself that I'm making the right purchase without knowing this information, because if I want to buy a tablet, computer, anything like that, the specs are going to be right fucking there. But I can't convince other people, like my friends, to go out and buy it so we can play Switch together or something like that, because they're going to ask, well, what's it got inside of it? What games can I get? And I'm going to be like, well, here's the catalog. Well, what games are going to get in the future? I don't know, because I don't know the specs. I have no idea. Fuck.
It's really important. It's really important for Nintendo to release these specifications down to like the most specific detail. That's what specs mean, is specifications, to attract third-party developers. I'm sure they tell the third-party developers of what what they can and can't do with the system anyway. But my goodness, it's good to know like the public information, so you have like independent developers to kind of go after that system.
Yeah, I mean, it would help them.
And that's one thing that really helped Nintendo Indies.
Yeah, I would agree. Putting that information out there would help them, because, I seriously doubt like startups and whatnot are going to have Nintendo's ear like right away. And, somebody might want to put something out on there. Like, say, let's just give an example. Like, Super Meat Boy. Meat Boy. Something like that. Say like Super Meat Boy is a new thing coming out, and it's a fairly demanding, and Team Meat wants to put it on Switch. They're gonna say, well, we want to make sure this game runs as well as it can. What are the specs on this, Nintendo? And then like Nintendo's a giant company and doesn't get back with them, and then they have to sit on their fucking hands because they don't know.
Right. Because they don't know what kind of power that can perform with this game, or if they need to go bigger and better, if they need to kind of scale it back.
Right.
It's infuriating with the company.
Yeah, sorry for shouting, but that's just the way I fucking feel about this. I was just like, I thought we were over this hurdle. I thought we were done with this nonsense, but apparently we're not.
And it's been going around like this, I feel like, anyway, since 2008.
Possibly.
So almost a decade.
Possibly. Yeah, they really didn't want to talk about the specs on the Wii U. That really didn't happen. I don't think they really talked about the specs on the Wii either. I think they just said...
Not really.
I think they were just like, look, it's a revolution. Waggle the remotes.
And it created a bunch of shovelware garbage. Good job. That was the only third party that really, got for that system, was a bunch of shovelware.
You're right, too. There was so many good things that system could have done. So many good things. Done. Yeah, but it's just like, here's fucking carnival games. Here's this bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, so many bad games I saw people buy for the Wii, and I'm like, what possessed you to do this? And they're all like, it looked fun. Well, looks can be deceiving.
I'm not saying that the Wii doesn't have good games from third-party developers. I mean,
it
Mad
does.
World, there's Zack and Wiki, there's a lot of them. But there's more shovelware.
Yeah, you have to admit that the ratio of shovelware versus good stuff, like, the shovelware pile is pretty damn huge.
Yeah.
So,
it's frustrating is what it is. It's frustrating.
Yeah, I think we're just like frustrated and just at a loss for words, because both of us were really championing this, and we were like, yeah, this is going to be the good stuff. They're starting to talk about the games that are going to come out. Now with the Joy-Cons that they're like buttons at the top, so you're going to get that full controller experience, even though it's small. And I was thinking, yeah, this is going to be great to put like all sorts of different games on it. What's going to be inside of this thing, Nintendo? What games are going to come? And they're like, well, stuff. Don't fucking tell me stuff.
Yeah, don't tell me stuff, because I know what stuff happens.
Yeah, like it's a custom Tegra. Okay, we know what a custom Tegra can do. But, like, you say it's custom, what's custom about it? I mean, what can we expect? And they're like, well, stuff. They keep, being vague about it and saying, well, isn't 1080p 60 frames enough for you? And the answer is fucking no.
Not really.
So that's my rant.
All right. Well, let's go and talk about one more subject before we get into our little game here called Buy, Try, or Die. Let's talk about Resident Evil 7 because that's the new release of the previous week, and a lot of people are gushing about it. I haven't had a chance to play it, unfortunately. I really want to.
I haven't had a
At
chance
least
either.
I want to try it out, but Patrick, you obviously know.
Well, and one of the main things about it, and I need to get Dina back here now that I'm back on track and everything, because I don't want the codec to be like an annual thing again. But the last time on the codec, I had a chance to talk with Dina, and I talked with her about Resident Evil 7 because that's when the trailer or the demo for it came out, and I was talking with her about how it was like it almost had an indie feel, like almost a Silent Hills PT kind of thing going on. Mm-hmm. And I told her, or I asked her, do you think that the success of like indie horror games has driven Capcom this direction? She corrected me and said no, it went into development before all of this hit, which just, it blew my fucking mind. I was like, seriously? They saw this in advance? So it was interesting. It's not your typical Resident Evil kind of thing, because usually you control a character and you walk around. It's gotten kind of actiony and kind of stupid over time. But I've been watching some gameplay since I haven't had a chance to play it, and it just looks like a complete reinventing of the entire series. Simply because, like, you aren't, like, out shooting stuff or anything like that. You're exploring. You're walking around, you can't really see your character or anything. It's just a lot of weird exploration, going through this creepy house and different things like that. It's just, wow, it's different from typical Resident Evil.
Right. And Resident Evil in the past is more like you had a motive to kind of go out and be a little bit of a badass, where here you feel helpless and just trying to survive, from what I saw last night.
Very good point.
Video games.
Very, very good point. In terms of it, any gameplay I've watched so far, your character, you don't have any type of weapons that I've seen. You're just going through this house trying to figure out what's going on. Creepy stuff all around. Just like at one point you can pick up a list that's just laying there, and you could check out the list, and it's just got names that are like turned, dead, 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 turned, and just weird shit like that. It's okay. Yeah. I just watched one part here. I was like actually watching someone do gameplay while talking about it here. And like this really creeped out hillbilly chick like jumps you and starts like swinging at you wildly as you try to go down the stairs, and now she's trying to stab the character. And
so
of course,
it's just a typical day in West Virginia.
It's a typical day in the hills of West Virginia, y'all. But wow, wrong turn's real.
Oh boy.
But
we're not too far away from that.
Oh my god.
But anyway, back to the game.
I can't now.
Oh no, you have to. Let's go. Keep going.
So it's interesting in the fact that, like, you played Resident Evil before. You know what I'm talking about. Like, you would go through there would be like zombie dog, zombies, maybe like the occasional liquor or what the fuck ever shows up, and you're like, I'm gonna empty some clips in this bitch. And then it got more action oriented over time. 4 still kind of had that aspect where it was starting to blend some more action in, but it still wanted to be somewhat traditional. And then by the time 5 showed up, they were like, fuck it, it's action time.
Yeah.
So this is just a complete reinvention to the point where you're helpless, you're just going through this, and you're trying your best to do what you can. I would say it's almost like what Dead Space should have been. Because the first one, like, you kind of had that helplessness thing going on.
Yeah,
where
the
there wasn't.
One had the helplessness factor. The second one started to take more of a personality of a badass since Isaac was starting to talk now.
Yeah. Like, in the first one, Isaac, he wasn't really sure what the hell was going on. He was new to, like, what the suit could do. There wasn't, like, ammo just hanging out all over the place. And, he wasn't quite used to fighting necromorphs. So that was the first game. It really had that horror aspect because you were like, well, at any moment I could be fucked. These guys are stalking me, and I don't have a lot of ammo. And the second one, I mean, it was still tough. Necromorphs were still hard to deal with, but they started like throwing more ammo at you. You had more tools at your disposal to take care of your enemies. And then Dead Space 3 was just a masturbation festival of horrible. I think that's the best way to describe that.
Yeah, I mean that's one way to describe it.
Yeah, it was just really, really fucking awful. So I don't really care much for Dead Space 3. But you get what I'm saying. Like, this is taking the traditional idea that Dead Space was trying to bring in and say, you know, with that game, you don't have a lot of tools at your disposal, and you're trying to survive. Interesting. People are stalking you. Monsters are stalking you in that case, because not Deadites, Jesus, Necromorphs. I just went Evil Dead for some reason. But this one takes it a step further by being like, you're in this creepy house with people, and you have nothing to help you. Mm-hmm. Nothing at all.
So you mentioned that they started development on this before like the big, indie horror scene kind of hit. But was development beginning before Resident Evil 6, or did it happen afterwards when the backlash kind of started along that?
I'm not sure. I would have to ask Dina again, because it blew my mind when she told me that like development on this game started before like all of the indie horror games started coming out. Because now, like, I'm gonna pick on 7 a little bit and say, like, if you played a lot of the indie horror games where you're going through the spooky house and you don't know what's going on, you've seen this before. You're probably not gonna be all that like surprised by it or anything like that. You're probably not gonna be like, oh my god, this is so innovative.
Right.
But
we've seen this before, but it doesn't deteriorate from the fact that it's probably going to be one of the good games, if not one of the games of 20.
Right, but if Capcom really did start development of this game before all of those hit, then in terms of it, they saw the direction before the direction was even there. And I want to play it to see if, while everybody else dabbles, does Capcom master? That's the thing I want to know.
Here's what I want to know, is if they started it before or after the hit the waves. So if they did it afterwards, then obviously they're going to have that reaction. It's like, oh god, what do we do to reinvent the series, because Resident Evil name is tainted now.
Yeah.
But if they did it before they released Resident Evil 6 and knew that this wasn't going to be as good of a game as the previous Resident Evil games, if not going to be one of the worst in the series, then that is excellent foresight with Capcom, and they actually do know what they're doing in some aspects.
Yeah, it would be good to know whether that's the case, because I never played 6 because I've just heard too many awful things about it, but...
Because, I mean, the last good Resident Evil game besides 6 was 5. 5 was decent. 4 was probably one of the better, if not the best game in the entire series. We'll see what happens with 7.
Yeah, and it's just really interesting as I continue watching this gameplay. Like, the person I was telling you that was, like, playing and, the hillbilly chick came after him.
Yes.
Like, there was a struggle between the two characters, and here's an interesting part. So, you're trying to fight her as she's, like, coming at you with a knife. Your character struggles, and he finds, like, a hatchet that's laying on the ground. So, grabs the hatchet, swings over, and hits her right in the neck. And then
Spoiler alerts, by the way.
Yeah. So, spoiler alert, that's kind of how things appear to be going in this game. Like, that's how you, quote, defend yourself. You don't have just weapons at your disposal. You're not walking through the house like a badass. And even to this point, I don't know the character that's being played, but they had a really, like, negative reaction after that happened. Kind of an, oh my god, what have I done kind of thing. So, you're not playing Billy Badass in this game. It seems like you're playing just a regular person who's just been sucked into a really shit situation, which again is not like Resident Evil games at all, where it's usually like a star special agent or something like that.
Right. So if you haven't gotten a chance to try it out, and you don't mind spoilers, I would definitely recommend watching some gameplay footage from a lot of different people. A lot of people are streaming this game, and it's just easy to kind of get your eyes focused onto that. But we will round out this week with our game. Patrick, that's your cue to get the audio ready here.
All right.
So what we do before podcast.
And
is,
now it's
we
time
play our
to
game
take a
called
look
Buy,
at the
Try,
week
or
ahead
Die.
with
And
Buy.
I will explain the rules briefly here before we start it. So, Buy, Try, or Die.
All right.
We have a list of games where they're going to be released this week, whether it's on Sunday or Saturday, sometime throughout that kind of span. And if we think you should buy it, we say buy. If we think we should try it or want to try it out, then we say try. If we want the game to die, then we just say die.
Okay.
And we've already used our 1Y on cricket game, so we can't use our Ys. So why don't you go ahead and fire it up?
Look at the week ahead with Buy, Try, or Die.
I like how funky the music is.
That's NBA Jam for you.
Oh, man.
That's Sega Genesis NBA.
I knew I recognized that from somewhere.
It's very funky.
I'm used to the arcade version, not the Genesis version.
See, the Genesis version, in my opinion, is way better than the arcade version because the arcade version is like too.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
The arcade version, like I'm used to that because we have an NBA Jam machine at work. That's actually been modded to have all sorts of different arcade games, but NBA Jam is still a thing there, so that's what I'm used to. Still.
Anyway, that's what the music was, in case you were wondering. But we will go ahead and dive into our game here. Disgaea 2 for Windows, which will be released on the 30th. Buy, Try, or Die.
I don't even know what it is. Die. Yeah, I don't know what Disgaea is.
Oh man, it's a good JRPG series.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. I like JRPGs, so I haven't had a chance to try Disgaea. I will absolutely try.
I want to try this too because I've always been a fan of the better JRPGs that have been released as of recently. I want to say in this millennium anyway, but hey, I'll try it out. I've always, liked the Disgaea games. Double Dragon 4 for Windows and PS4. Buy, Try, or Die.
I like Double Dragon games, so I'd give it a try.
I will give this one a try as well because how can you go wrong with Double Dragon?
Double Dragon 5, that's how you go wrong.
Yeah.
You asked.
Well, this is 4.
Okay. Yeah, if it was 5, I'd be like, I don't want to play more shitty fighting games. But no, it's 4. I'll try it.
Coming up on the 31st, we have Digimon World Next Order PS4. Buy, Try, or Die.
I don't care for Digimon, really, so I would just say die. I don't want to try it.
I'm going to actually go against you on this one and just say buy, because the last Digimon game that was released is getting a lot of favorable reviews. So this one can't be too bad, and I will absolutely encourage those fans to go ahead and buy those.
So in terms of it, if somebody gave me I don't know what platform it's on, if it's on 3DS or whatever, if somebody handed me the 3DS and it was just play the damn game, and I found out that I liked it, I would maybe try, but until that day happens, I don't really care, and I'm still going with die.
Divide for PS4. Buy, Try, or Die.
I don't even know what it is.
There's no page for it on Wikipedia.
Wonderful. Let's just go with try, because if it's terrible, you can just walk away within the first 5 minutes.
I'm gonna say die because I don't like math. Dynasty Warriors God Seekers for PS4 and PS Vita. Buy, Try, or Die.
Try. Dynasty Warriors is fun.
By the way, I want to clarify what I just said. I don't like math unless it's multiplication. So I will go ahead and say buy because, one, Dynasty Warriors is an excellent series. It's just a great way to kind of turn your brain off and mash a bunch of enemies at once and feel like you're all powerful.
That's very true.
Two Vita needs games. So this is it.
Hashtag save Vita.
Which we also said last week.
Yes.
Is the Vita coming back?
It's making a comeback. Don't call it a comeback.
Don't call it a comeback. It's been here for years.
It has.
For years. On the 2nd of February, Fire Emblem iOS. Buy, Try, or Die.
I'm not really familiar with Fire Emblem, but I'd try it.
I will say buy /try. And I'm going to cheat a little bit.
That is cheating.
I want to see the price on it. I want to see the price point for Fire Emblem Heroes. So if it's like $5 or whatever, I'm gonna say absolutely buy it, because how can you go wrong then?
Yeah.
But
Okay.
anything-
Okay.
If it's like $15, I'll say try if you can.
Yeah, if it's at that point where it's like just not a whole lot of money, then yeah, I would say let's go ahead and buy.
Okay. So I told you I was gonna cheat a little.
That's fine, you
Okay,
cheat.
fair enough. On the 3rd of February, Poochie and Yoshi's Woolly World for 3DS. Buy, try, or die.
Buy.
Yeah, how can you go wrong with this one? It's an absolute buy, because Yoshi's Woolly World was a great game on the Wii, and this one looks to be more of the same. So it's absolutely a buy.
Yeah, Yoshi's Woolly World on Wii U, if you haven't had a chance to give it a shot, it is an amazing fucking game. It deserves all your love and attention, so buy.
A House of Many Doors for Windows and Mac. Buy, try, or die.
I don't want to go through a bunch of doors. I don't want to do it. I don't want to open a bunch of doors. Die.
Die?
Die.
I'll say try, because doors can be fun sometimes. It doesn't know what kind. You don't know what kind of doors they are.
Well, what if
They
it's
could be.
what if it's House of the Doors?
Well, that's a different game. This is a House of Many Doors.
Aw,
So you don't know what kind of doors they are, though. They
man. Okay, I
could
want
be
to.
like the saloon. They could be like the saloon.
Okay, you won me over. I'll try it because there's many doors.
Okay, there's many doors. You don't know what kinds they are.
It better be more than like 5, because they said many.
Yeah. Husk for Windows. Buy, try, or die.
What the fuck is that?
It's Husk for Windows.
Husk for Windows.
Husk. Husk.
Do
I'm
you
assuming
know
it's a
what the?
horror game.
I was gonna say, do you know what the fuck a husk is?
Like a corn husker?
Yeah, no, like a broken shambles of something. Sure, I'll try it. Why not?
I'm gonna say die.
I'll give it a shot. If it is a horror game, it'll be like a pleasant surprise. If it's a shit game, then I just walked into it, didn't I?
But with a name like Husk, what else?
I don't know. Like you said, it could be like a farming game and be like, well, this is corn husking. And I'd just be like, wow.
Oh, that'd be stupid. That'd be really stupid.
It'd be like, there is Tractor Simulator, okay? Farm Tractor Simulator is a fucking thing.
Farming Simulator is the game you're looking for, by the way.
Okay, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, that is a thing. How on earth?
So that is our little game for the week ahead. Lots of games to choose from. Some better than others, I would say. But that is going to wrap it up for this week for Super Reset Brothers on January the 31st of 2017. I'm Tanner Larson.
And I am Patrick Breeden.
And we are Cornhuskers. And we'll see you next week.
Oh, I know I am. Boy, howdy.
What was that ending?
When you said earlier about the West Virginia thing.
Oh, that's right. I remember now. Now we've come full circle.
Oh, I've got the perfect ending. Wrong Turn was real.
No.
It could have been. No, actually, it couldn't have been. No. No.
Just
No. Well, everybody likes to make fucking jokes about, like, Deliverance, and I have to keep reminding them that wasn't
Deliverance?
Yeah, I have
Deliverance.
I have to keep reminding them that wasn't West Virginia, motherfucker. That was Georgia.
Georgia's always on your mind?
No. Georgia's... Well, Georgia will be on some people's minds tonight because it's the Royal Rumble.
Yes, and actually it started at 6 Central, which I thought it started at 7 Central. We missed an hour of the Rumble.
No,
which
you
is okay
didn't.
because it's now on video on demand.
I was going to say, no, you didn't. It's impossible. It's all streaming and on demand now.
Yeah, that's right.
You missed
So I can
nothing.
Go back and watch. I can go back and watch the first hour, which I'm sure you're right. I might have missed nothing.
Yeah, come on. Come on, you didn't miss a damn thing, and you know it.
Apparently, I missed HBK.
What? Oh, okay, sure. The reason why I say Georgia's on everybody's mind is because the champ is from Gainesville.
Yes.
So, that's what you can go see there. Mr.
They don't want none.
They don't want none. You know, I have to say before we end it, I really miss his old stuff, his old theme versus this, because it's way more energetic. And with this one, it just seems like, you know, he's getting older and he's slowing down, and I don't like that. Like, no. Fly everywhere, kick people in the face.
Get ready to fly.
That's what he used to do. And he still does, but now it's just like, well, let's be slower about it.
They don't want none, though. They don't want no flying.
They don't want none, because then they're like, you could break your neck and cost us a lot of money. I think I'd be the same way. I'd be like, I don't want none. Why? Because you might, like, you know, break your fucking neck and cost me a lot of money. So how about you don't do that?
You might die when you're getting ready to fly. And with that, I think we'll go ahead and end it.
I'm broken. That's it. We're done.
You're broken! Brother Patrick! I knew you'd come.
I'm broken. Okay, we are out of here and we will delete this podcast.
Delete! Delete!